Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, it's a little crazy over here today. It is a little crazy. I got somebody moving in the background. I got somebody moving in the background over here, and I can't wait to share with you a little bit about what we got going on. Good morning, everybody. Before I get into what I'm dealing with today, say good morning in the chat. What's up, Karen? Good morning to you, Karen. Michelle was up late last night. She was doing a prayer call at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 Central. I believe it was a prayer call of some sort. I saw it on Instagram. So Michelle, I love seeing your content. Love seeing you pushing out there. Good morning, Jacqueline. Good morning to Wendy down in Florida. Wendy down in Florida. Rosario, as always, in TX's. Got Kevin, Pismo Beach. Am I saying that right, Pismo? Did I say that right, Kevin? Kevin, we might be knocking on your door, Kevin, for you to do a little speaking here on the show. So I'm looking forward to having another conversation with you and bringing you to the table here. So we'll be in touch. So who's behind me? Who's behind me? My main man, James. Say hello to everybody.
What's up, guys? How's everyone doing today?
James has been with me since about 5:15 this morning. 5:15. I've gotten out of my bed 6 times to show all these different views of everything else. So we are doing a day in the life of what I got going on. And so he's been with me since 5:15, and he's going to be with me till about 8 o'clock. At least that's what we have on paper until probably I get my kids, and he's going to be like, he doesn't have, you don't have any children, do you?
I do.
No, that's right. You do have a child. So he gets it. He gets it. I forgot he has a little one.
It's all good.
And, but I was like, when we get Bryce Boy, it's going to get a little real. It's going to get a little different. We can have a roadmap, but I'm not too sure if it's going to take place. So for those of you ever thinking about videography, he does travel, so don't use geography as not a way, but he does a lot of videography. He does a lot of editing. He does a lot of social media stuff. And so he's going to be with Christian and I and several people today. Got several meetings lined up today, but we are doing a day of the life of what I got going on between Leo and kids and balancing, and Leo's outside barking, Michelle, but anyways, so that's what we got going on today. So I'm really excited, and I'm going to be vulnerable. Where's Justine? Where's Justine? I'm going to be a little vulnerable. I am nervous. I actually got up at 3:12 today. I was nervous about this. You might think like you're on Zoom all the time. Why? This is uncomfortable, Mio. This is very uncomfortable for me. It's very different. It's very unique. I'm going to tell you, if you've never done this or you've been thinking about it, I'm going to recommend you doing it because it makes you think differently, makes you do things differently. I think it's a cool thing to do because it really makes you be about learning about yourself and what you're doing, your routine. Because James keeps asking, what do you do next? What do you do next? What do you do next? And I'm like, I mean, I have an idea and but I haven't really thought about it like that. And so it's a different way of thinking. And so anyways, but that's what we got going on here today, and blessed to be able to have him here with us. So good morning, everybody. Good morning to y'all. My name's Coach Brock Zevan, life coach, business coach, real estate coach, and a DAD. It is a DAD day for me today. Wait until Bryce sees James in the car with us with the camera. Bryce is a YouTuber. He's going to be all excited. He's going to be wanting to be on video the whole time. Poor James has no idea what he's in for. So, but we got that. Brielle's got soccer game today. Then she got soccer practice today. And so it is just a nonstop. Christian's going to be with me all day today. Him and I are working on our onboarding process for agents. We've been blessed and fortunate bringing more and more agents on board with us. And so we want to make sure that we have a streamlined process. So we're going to be working on that today, plus a whole bunch of different things. So with that being said, on this Wednesday, where's Cullen? Colin, there's 5 Wednesdays this month, Colin. There's 5 Wednesdays. And D, when we have 5 Wednesdays, that means Christian leads on the 5th Wednesday. And so he is going to be leading with us today. So I told him, I said, I'm going to take 5 minutes to kind of share a little bit about what I'm doing, what I got going on in the background, talk about James. We're going to put his stuff also in the Facebook stuff. So if you guys want to ask him questions or learn a little bit more, you certainly can. So without further ado, Latrice just got on. So now Latrice is here. Christian, you're able to start. So good morning, Christian. Good morning to you, brother.
Good morning. Can you guys hear me?
Barely. Where are you? Barely.
Barely.
Sound.
Okay, let me change this. Sorry, I got to use my crappy mic here, guys. So it's going to be a little echoey. Having issues with this mic. So thank you guys for having me. It's the fifth Wednesday, so I'm excited to be here. I wanted to talk a little bit about, touch on what I talked about yesterday a little bit. Tell a little bit about my story. I know there's a lot of new people on this show. Share the news of what's going on with me and Brock. I don't know if we've really officially made an announcement yet, but kind of talk about that a little bit more. And yeah, I hope you guys get some good information out of it. So for those that don't know, my name is Christian Tiessen. I have a company called Redtail Financial where recently kind of start dialing in on my niche. I'm really targeting now real estate agents. So I'll talk about that a lot more coming up soon. But this all came about through kind of a winding tale of a life story. This is kind of my Figured Out Friday. So I want to share with you guys kind of my story a little bit and how I got out to Charlotte, North Carolina from Pismo Beach, California, over where Kevin's at. What a small world. Kevin comes on. He says he's from Pismo. That's literally where I grew up. And then last week, he had on, when he spoke, he had on Mark, who does loans out, and he has a franchise business out there too, where he sells franchises. And it's like, it's just such a small world. It's crazy. So excited to be here today. I want to start with kind of where I was at in my life early on, 17, 18, 19 years old. Was a pretty good kid growing up, right? And then started making some mistakes. I got introduced to smoking weed in high school, the devil's lettuce, and it started the downward spiral for a while. And at 18 years old, I got kicked out of my house, and for good reasons, right? Like a lot of times you think about people getting kicked out of their house, and sometimes I have this thing like, oh, they had crappy parents, or their parents didn't care about them. Like, no, I deserved it, guys. I had opportunity after opportunity, and it was to the point where my parents that like were fed up. Basically, this is kind of the straw on the camel's back. I used to party a lot. Now I'd go out and I would tell them I was going out, and then I wouldn't call them to tell them I was staying out. That's all they asked for, right? Very, very simple ask. And so my mom would stay awake all night. My dad would be waking up throughout the night, and they're like, we just can't handle this, right? Like, you can't even just call us to give us the courtesy of telling us you're not coming home tonight. And so I got kicked out of the house. And again, just kind of that downward spiral. Right out of high school, I got a job at an incredible company. We manufactured music electronics, and I got hired at an entry-level job. Was doing my thing, partying, spending all my paychecks, broke as a joke, overdrawing the bank account all the time. And eventually it got to a point where I was getting kind of sick of it. And so I was hanging out at my dad's place one afternoon, and I was laying on the couch watching TV. I used to like watching those like buds trainings where they do the SEAL training. And I was flipping channels, and I came across this channel that had one of those like 30-minute infomercials. And it was all these stories of all these people that were in maybe not exact situations I was in, but very similar, right? Just not figuring out their life. They're having trouble. They couldn't figure out their businesses, whatever was going on, all these people having problems. And then they kind of revealed that they found this person that flipped the switch for them, that made a change. And then they told their success stories. They said, once we found this person and we went through his program and we learned his concepts he was teaching, everything changed in our lives. And that person was Tony Robbins, right? And if you ever watch a Tony Robbins infomercial, it's very well done. He is a master. Tony Robbins is one of the few successful life coaches that has made $1 billion, probably the only billionaire life coach in the world. But I had a thought that came into mind, is that like, if they could do it, why can't I do it? Right? Like that was my thought. Why not me? And through that, I got introduced to, it wasn't Tony Robbins that had the biggest impact on my life. It was actually his mentor, Jim Rohn. And now at my job that I had, I was doing electronics assembly. And so very tedious work, just repetitive. But one of the great things about this job, and I'm forever grateful for this opportunity, I should have been fired like tons of times, but my cousin was my manager, so I didn't get fired. And one of the things that we were able to do was listen to music on the job. And so for a long time, that's what I did, right? I listened to music. I started getting into audiobooks. So I'd go to the library. I exhausted the full library, Napomo library, all their audiobooks I listened to. I love like crime stories and whatnot. But I came across Jim Rohn, and this was probably when I was like 20-ish. So this was like 2007. So YouTube was just kind of picking up, and I was finding all these videos of Jim Rohn on YouTube. And there was these great videos where people would take clips that he would be talking about, and they would put like music behind them, right? This like inspirational music. Think of like the movie Gladiator, right? Hans Zimmer, this like emotionally charged music, and they would put these songs behind these little clips. And so I was introduced to Jim in that regard. And then I started kind of listening to his lectures, right? His like long form, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. And what I would do is I had this website I go to is called YouTube to MP3 Converter. So I would put in the YouTube URL and download the conversions for the MP3s. And essentially, guys, I mean, I'll just be straight up. I essentially brainwashed myself for about a year, easy. Like that's all I listened to was Jim Rohn. You know, obviously that leads you into different people, Les Brown, Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, all the guys, Tony Robbins. And so that's all I listen to. And I'm doing this kind of this like tedious work where you can almost like get into a trance because you don't have to think doing this work. And I would just listen to this all day, every day. When I was driving to work, I would listen to this. You know, recently I started listening to Myron Golden about it maybe a year ago at this point. And he says something really interesting. He says that he doesn't understand when people who are broke are watching TV or they're sports fans. He's like, you don't have time to be watching this stuff. Like, what are you doing with your life, right? And so that's kind of how I felt. It's like I didn't have time to listen to music. I didn't have time to ingest entertainment. So it became this way of being almost where like all I was listening to was this motivation, stuff like that. And so an opportunity opened up that job to take a sales position. And so I interviewed for that opportunity. I did really well on the phones. And so I got that position, sales position. And, you know, a couple of years went by. Oh, let me back up for a second. When all this was going on, I kind of realized that like this, even though it was a great company to work for, this wasn't my end destination. This wasn't what I wanted to be. So from 18 years old, I knew like I wanted something more, right? And I looked at moving out of the area, never had the courage to do that, but I wanted more, right? So I got the sales position, started making more money, started getting my finances in order, reading this book. I highly recommend to everybody, The Richest Man in Babylon. You can see that. Incredible book on personal finance, very short, easy read. And I worked my way up, right? Sales manager, sales director, ended up being in charge of international accounts, all of the key accounts for the business, so nationwide, doing business to business sales. And I was comfortable, right? I had this position. I always had this feeling in my gut like I wanted more. But there's a term called golden handcuffs. And the term is this, is that you're making just enough to keep you there, right? You're not going to reach your goals. You're not going to hit your dreams, but you're kind of stuck. Because if you branch out, if you try to do these things, well, now you're kind of going backwards, right? So you get these golden handcuffs. And I really felt that for a long time. And it took me many years to develop the courage to leave the company. And what actually happened was we had a situation where my wife and I were trying to have kids for many years. And she finally got pregnant. We were doing like the medicine, the doctor thing, got pregnant and going for a ultrasound. And she had some kind of pain in her stomach. And so we went to the urgent care. They kind of knew right away what was going on. They didn't tell us. They said, hey, you need to go to the ER because you're pregnant, you know. So we go, we get the ultrasound. Good news, they come back, you know, you're having twins. Bad news is it's an ectopic pregnancy, which means both the babies are stuck in the fallopian tube. There's a 0% chance of survival. We don't have the technology to help these babies. And so we lost both the babies. And that ended up being a emergency surgery, an overnight stay in the hospital. And at that point, I realized that my safe job was actually a liability because we started getting the hospital bills. We were on a type of insurance where you pay all your bills up front and then you get reimbursed, but it takes 6 months. So these bills start rolling in $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. And I realized that this job was actually a liability for me because I had been doing very well saving. I had like like multiple years worth of savings, but I realized it's like one accident could completely wipe me out. And so I started looking for opportunities to make more money. And I had a friend that I had worked with at the company. He worked for a different company, but he was a vendor of ours who had gotten into real estate. So I started talking to him about it, and he was making good money. He was making like 300 grand a year within a few years. So I thought, oh, this is the opportunity. Sales, real estate. I like houses. Let's jump into this. Took me a while, again, to build up that courage. I did not have the courage to do it, but I finally did. There was a couple other things that happened at the job that really broke the straw on the camel's back. But I took that leap. And I did real estate in California for a couple years, Santa Maria, Pismo Beach, 5 cities. And some things happened politically in California where we decided it was time to get out. And so we made a decision to get out. And, it's interesting. I've talked about this before, is one of the life lessons that that's really stuck with me in recent years is the willingness to take advantage of opportunities when they arise, and the willingness to make commitments to opportunities when they arise. Because once I made this decision to get into real estate, doors started opening up, right? I started meeting people. Once we decided to make the move, we told my sister, and within a few days, her friend told her that they were moving out of the area, in the Charlotte area, and their house, this is at the height of the market, their house checked all the boxes that we wanted. And so it just lined up to where we made this move out to Charlotte, North Carolina. It was just perfect. Once I leaned into this opportunity, once I made that decision, the doors that I didn't even know were there started opening. And so through that, because I was a new agent in real estate with EXP, you had to have a mentor. And so Brock, by chance, like what are the odds of this? Brock was assigned to be my mentor. And so I met Brock, and he was the first person I met out here. We met at a coffee shop. We were very alike in a lot of ways. And so, the rest is history as far as that goes. He invited me to start speaking on the show. Very, very nervous for a long time speaking on the show. I would prepare for hours and hours and hours to do a 20-minute talk. And through this show, more opportunities just started opening up. Chad Free started coming on the show, started speaking. And Chad introduced me to an opportunity to come into the financial industry. Now, for me, real estate was always kind of a means to an end. It was an opportunity to earn high income, but I didn't love being a real estate agent. I like houses. I like the investment opportunities with real estate. I love the wealth building potential, but I'm like a numbers nerd. Like literally, guys, I build spreadsheets for fun and calculators for fun. You see, if you're friends with me on Facebook, I'm always coming out with a new calculator, right? And so when Chad presented this opportunity, it opened up to me. Opened up a new door. So I decided to take that. I stopped. I'm like, hey, I'm getting this other license to be doing the financial stuff. So let's stop doing real estate. Let's jump into this. So I started a whole new business in an area where I didn't really know anybody. And a few months later, we found out my wife was pregnant again. We were having a baby. And so very scary, starting a new business, having a baby, having a mortgage. We bought this house as a vacation property, but then moved into it pretty quickly afterwards so that we could use the income from California to qualify. And so I had this mortgage, I have a baby, I have a wife, and we're starting a new business. And at first, I wasn't really sure the area I wanted to focus on in the business. And so I was kind of helping really anybody that needed help with finances, given general financial concepts, tax concepts, investment concepts, etc. But then I realized I really wanted to, I love business, right? Part of my focus with all those listening sessions over the years was just business content. I love business. I love the idea of business. I love marketing. I love sales. I love it all. And so I decided, hey, let's start focusing more on business. But as I did this, I started realizing that focusing on business is pretty damn broad. And so when I'm developing financial strategies, it's very difficult to develop a strategy that works well for, I'm just going to use an example, real estate agents and a friend I have who owns a clothing store, right? It's very different to talk to a clothing store owner than it is a pressure washer company or a concrete ceiling company, right? All these things are very different. So it became very difficult to start having conversations with people about these topics and develop a strategy and a system that I could market out to the market. And about this time when I kind of dove in, I was like, I want to talk to business owners. I want to help business owners, entrepreneurs. Brock came to me with an opportunity because Brock is, he's got his real shirt on right now. He is a real estate coach. And Brock, if you guys know him well, which many of you do, Brock is a go-getter. You tell him to do something or he has a task to do, he's on it and he's on it till it's done. But where I really excel and where maybe is more of a weakness for Brock is like the systems, the organization behind all that, right? And so Brock kind of introduced an idea to me to help him build these out in his business, in his coaching business, to really start to leverage and scale the coaching business. And because of this, part of the partnership was like, hey, I'm going to develop financial strategies for real estate agents. And I kind of put it off. I was doing other things. I was focusing on businesses a lot, but it became time to really develop something for real estate agents. And so I was talking with my wife and I had this realization, guys. Like yesterday, I mentioned that quote from Michelangelo about in the marble, there's a statue that's already there. It's just his job was to chip away the material that didn't contribute to the statue, the material that didn't belong there. And it's kind of ironic. I have like a half sleeve tattoo, and it's a tattoo of a very famous statue called Self-Made Man. And it's a man he's about halfway carved, and he's got a chisel, and he's got a hammer, and he's carving himself out of stone. And I found that in my life, like recently, this is a recent revelation to me that it's not always about adding more information. It's not always about getting more concepts. A lot of times, what will move the needle the most is getting rid of the stuff that's not serving you. It's dialing down, it's niching down. And so what I found with the real estate was kind of like the stone was getting carved, right? And then meeting Brock is getting carved a little bit more. Then meeting Chad a little bit more, business owners a little bit more. And then finally I'm to this point where it's like, let's start talking to real estate agents. I know your guys' language. I know the problems that real estate agents have with the finances. And so I developed this system for real estate agents for wealth building strategies that I'm really excited about. I spent like 2 weeks writing a book. So I've got that book getting ready to launch here pretty soon. But what I noticed when I was researching this book is that agent after agent, I've talked to hundreds of agents over the past 5 years. And what I found is that whether an agent is making $30,000, $50,000 or multiple six figures, most agents, even if they're earning high income, aren't building wealth themselves. And I thought, like, this is a major problem that I can help solve. But then I have this business coach, it's a marketing coach actually, and she said that's not the problem that they have. That's a situation that they're in. And so you have to dive down a little bit deeper to find the problem. And so what I found when I started diving into this, guys, is that if you're, I know many of you here are realtors, you're in the real estate business. But in the real estate business, almost all of the coaching you see, all of the seminars you go to, all of the continuing education, the licensing, it focuses on the real estate side of the real estate business. But agents aren't coached on the business side of the real estate business. And this is a major, major problem in the real estate industry. And it leads to agents that have high income never really building wealth. And it's kind of ironic because agents are coaching their clients every single day on the power of real estate for building wealth, but many aren't doing that themselves. You might own a house or maybe 1 or 2 investment properties, but most agents aren't leveraging their real estate knowledge to build wealth themselves. And agents are mostly acting as real estate salespeople. Basically, they have a job in real estate that they pay their own expenses instead of business owners. And so as I start dialing this in, I'm like, this is an incredible opportunity to help real estate agents become truly wealthy. So let me ask you guys something. I haven't asked for any interaction. If you guys are, well, even if you're not an agent, put a 5 in the chat if you guys have aspirations to be real estate investors at some point in your life. Awesome. Lots of 5s. Good. Good. So here's the problem. Here's a problem that I found. What happens, and I want you guys to type this in the chat. What happens, I know I'm running up on time. What happens if you go to an investment advisor? What do they tell you to do with your money to build wealth? Quick, 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 put it in the chat, put it in the chat. What do they tell you to do? They tell you to take some of your profits, to take some of your income and put it into the stock market, right? That's the blanket generic advice for everybody. But the issue there is that you're taking money out of your business and you're investing it into someone else's business through the stock market. And as real estate agents, you have this incredible opportunity. You are looking at the market every single day. You are looking at the MLS. You are showing people, you know, the tax strategist that can help you save money on taxes. You know all of the incredible wealth building opportunities of real estate. But when you talk to a financial advisor, they tell you to take money away from real estate, or that could be allocated towards real estate, and to put it in the market. And so this is a mismatch. And so I developed a system that goes through 3 phases that turns real estate commissions into long-term wealth by leveraging the expertise and the experience that real estate agents have in their business to build a real estate portfolio. And so it takes them through a very simple 3-stage process, right? We have phase 1, we call it foundation. So I developed, this is called, the system is called the Real Estate Agent's Wealth Blueprint. So phase 1 is foundations, right? This is all about gaining clarity in that business, building business stability to build and building a wealth creation strategy, right? This is kind of like what I talked about earlier. Real estate agents not being business owners or not treating their business like they are business owners. This is the understanding the business metrics. It's understanding where's my money going. It's understanding when I get a $10,000 commission, do I just put it all in my personal paycheck or bank account, or do I allocate it to business? How much goes to savings? How much goes to investing? How much goes to wealth building? Right? So phase 1 is all about foundations. It's about, just like in construction, it's all about building a solid foundation, because if we don't have this foundation, we're going to struggle. We're going to build a house on sand. Phase 2 is construction. Once we have these foundations built, now we build out the structure of our strategy. We put in place the systems that will allow for wealth building. And then phase 3 of this system is, I'm calling it portfolio. So now that we have this strong foundation, now that we have the construction completed, now it's time to start leveraging the money. It's time to start leveraging the expertise to start building out a wealth strategy using real estate as the primary vehicle. And I'm very excited to be launching this and sharing this with agents. And what I'm most excited about is that I feel like this is very much in alignment with what agents already know and are already doing, right? Like, you guys know the power of real estate. You know, you've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You follow Grant Cardone. You know the power of real estate, both as a wealth building tool, as a tax strategy, for personal properties, for investment properties. But it's time to have a financial strategy that aligns with that leverages that knowledge and that expertise to help build wealth for agents themselves, instead of just having a high income that's gone, right? Income's like a speedometer on your car. It's very exciting. It's fun to go fast, right? But if you're going in on a circle track, you're not getting anywhere. And so wealth building is like trying to find a destination. And so we got to take you off that circle track to get you on a destination, right? We've got to plug in the destination, figure out where we're at first, figure out the destination, and then make a road, make a map to get there. And so that's what this whole wealth building blueprint does. And I'm just excited to bring it to you guys. We'll be sharing more about it as we build out the team. Yeah, so that's it. We're at 8:45. I wanted to open it up. That was a lot of talking, very quick too. So I want to open up real quick for a couple minutes if anybody has anything to say. All right, guys, we are good. We are at 8:45. I hope you guys all have a great day. It's Wednesday. We're halfway through the week. Q1 is done. Taxes are due in North Carolina. I gotta get mine done, to be truthful. Hope you all have a great day. Brock, I'll turn it over to you to shut us down.
Good stuff, man. Guys, you think about, like, he's so on point in reference to tools. That's why I wanted to partner with him, because that is my biggest weakness, is literally understanding the micros behind things. You know, my job as a real estate coach is to help you make money. My job as an entrepreneur coach is to help you lean into wherever your goals and directions are, because why? You want to financially help your family. The problem is, majority of us don't understand money. Majority of us don't understand what to do with their money, or how to make more money, or use the money we have as leverage. That's what rich people do. That's what smart people do to understand that concept. And I was just like, yeah, I have no clue, man. I know how to spend it. I can spend it like no other. How many of you could spend money really good? Put a 7 in the chat. If you are really good at spending money, put a 7 in the chat. I'm going to challenge you. I bet I can beat you. I bet I can beat you. I'm really good at it. But see, you got to get around people who know how to use your money to put it in a better position to leverage it so you can have the flexibility and freedom that you want later down the road. So when people say to you, I remember the day when people used to, like my dad, still to this day, how much did your gas cost? How much money did you put in your gas tank? Anybody remember? Like my parents still talk about how much money it is to put in their gas tank. And I say this not to be arrogant in any way. I have no clue. I just fill it up. I remember back then, put $7 in. Am I talking to somebody that your parents would tell you how much, like, go put $8 in today? Go put $12 in. That's where I came from. That was my family lifestyle. Love them to death, but that's what I was taught. Like, you only put certain much money into your gas tank. I never heard my parents say fill it up. They never used to say fill it up. And so that is so very important to understand what to do with your money when it comes time for it. And I love this story because Christian was the first, like when he came to me, we met at the coffee shop in Cornelius and we just started sharing stories. It's like, so am I, so am I, so am I, so am I, so am I. And I was like, wow, look at this alignment. There's many of you that I have amazing relationships with that we say that to. So as I was just telling James over here, I said, James, you need to go into this group, just like I'm going to tell you all. I reached out to Dee's daughter yesterday, left her a voice message. When I see people on here, I want to engage with you. I want you to engage with me. Let's have a conversation. That's what it's all about. So Christian, loved your message today. I want to validate and reiterate to people, like, don't let your ego get in the way thinking you got to figure it out. There's different, like, even if it's $100, if you gave me $100 and I in turn gave you 1,000, how many of you would take it? Right? But we don't want to put forth that effort and energy to learn about it. So strongly recommend to put it in there. Christian, make sure you contact, or Jay, put Christian's contact information in there. Guys, I'm really excited to have James here today. We're going to see what takes place. It's going to be a fun day today. For those of you who know I'm like on a schedule all the time, it's been a little different, and we're going to get through it today. So appreciate you all. Thank you, Christian. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 8:15 Eastern time with our main man, Derek Green. Invite somebody to the show. I'll invite somebody to the show tomorrow, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm out of here. Christian, see you soon. Bye, all.
See you in a few minutes.